Geez, that's a lot of nature out there, Aaron. You've only got 3 minutes to speak.
All right, that's the more the merrier. That's right. I've got it very last minute. Yes. Let's do that. Yeah, I think I've got Excellent. It being 7 o'clock, we will now commence. Welcome to the special council meeting of Wyndham City Council this Tuesday, the 17th of December. In the spirit of reconciliation, before we begin this meeting, I acknowledge the peoples of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners on the land on which Wyndham is being built, and we pay our respects to elders past and present. Please stand for the opening prayer and welcome. We pray for guidance in the Council's decision-making to achieve the best outcome for the people of Wyndham. Please be seated. I'd like to acknowledge the members of the gallery, press, councillors and staff who are here this evening for what is a special council meeting. Some of you may have seen notices in the foyer, but for those of you who didn't, I'd like to make you aware of the following. This meeting is recorded and being live streamed on the internet. The recording will be archived and made available on Council's website. And whilst all care has been taken to ensure your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. Madam CEO, do we have any apologies for this meeting?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We do have 2 apologies this evening. We have Councillor Heather Marcus, who's unable to attend, and also Councillor John Gibbons, who is planning to attend, in fact, but he'll be about 15 minutes late, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, Madam CEO. Do I have a mover? Thank you very much, Councillor Maynard. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hooper. I will now put this to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 3, declaration by councillors of disclosure of conflicts of interest or conflicting personal interest in any items of the agenda. Councillors, are there any conflicts of interest for any of the items for this evening? No. Thank you. There being none, we'll now move to the next item. Item 4, officers' reports. Item 4.1, the planning permit application WYP 11645/19. Staged buildings and works for mixed-use building, accommodation, office, retail, place of assembly, and the use of the land for childcare centre and a reduction in car parking requirements, or in other words, to Overton Road, Williams Landing. The report is on pages 4 to 34, recommendations on pages 5 to 14, with the attachments being on 35 to 101. Can I get a mover for the resolution? Councillor Ahn. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Khan.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor. I want to flag a foreshadowed motion should this motion fail.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Hooper. Do you wish to give a context to what the foreshadowed resolution is, please?
Yes, I'll read it out so we can get this. The recommendation is that, or the foreshadowed motion is that the council resolves to issue a notice of refusal to grant the planning permit for the staged buildings and works of the mixed-use building, use of the land for childcare centre and reduction in car parking at requirements at 2 Overton Road, Williams Landing on the following grounds. The proposal fails to satisfy clause 52067 of the Wyndham Planning Scheme in that the reduction of the parking will result in an adverse impact on local amenity and the amenity of nearby residential areas. 2, the proposal is not consistent with clause 65(1) of the Wyndham Planning Scheme in that the reduction of car parking requirements will not result in orderly planning of the area. And 3, the proposal fails to satisfy clause 52067 of the Wyndham Planning Scheme in that there is insufficient available public transport nearby to support the reduction in car parking requirements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hooper. As there was a mover and a seconder of the primary motion, we will deal with that first, given that it is a foreshadowed motion by Councillor Hooper. With that in mind, Councillor Ahn, do you wish to speak on the item as the mover? If you do, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. I'm speaking in favour of officers' recommendations. As a local resident who have lived in Melbourne CBD and Docklands for 10 years, and has been researching the fast-growing area since 2007, and have been living the suburb of Williams Landing since 2012, I think I'm a perfect person to speak on this. Being one of the newer area of the city, Williams Landing provides unique development opportunities in terms of combining residential areas with commercial presence, and that not only provide local jobs, but also improve livability. Council officers have done peer review on this application, and it supports the recommendation that this is clearly stated on the page 29 of tonight's agenda. And we know that under Plan Melbourne 2017 to 2050, we should be planning for a 20-minute city. And I feel that this development meets this objective. And there are at least 2 legal cases at VCAT support similar cases for this type of applications. And this is clearly stated on page 31. Currently, some roads in and around Williams Landing are already quite congested during peak hours. Cars on Overton Road from current as car parking to Forsyth Road and sections of Palmer's Road are already bumper to bumper during evening peak hours. Therefore, we should not continue encouraging people fully depend on cars. At the council, we should facilitating development and will contribute to the city in terms of being able to access services close to home, and where possible, seek local employment. This 341 million mixed-use development will deliver much-needed economic uplift and improve the livability for our city. This site is in prime location for development of this type, and is in and within Williams Landing major activity center. The site is strategically prominent for our city, given its gateway location and proximity to core transport networks. This development demonstrated one way to support residents to be car independent. With shopping, education, and work all integrated in one location, the major public transport hub with stops for 6 bus routes connecting Pongkuk and Truganina, and the train station at the doorstep. It provides an opportunity for future residents in this area to be car independent. For example, someone who study at the proposed TAFE or work in the proposed offices or shops could just live upstairs. This is one good example for creating a 20 or 30-minute smart neighborhood that most residents' needs are within walking distance. Thus, residents who live in the apartment don't have to depend on a car. This is particularly practical for young students, new migrants, and grandparents of young families who don't have or can't drive a car. It is important to note that car parking ratios are dependent on a range of factors, and that must be reasonably applied to promote development of this nature. In this instance, where reduction have been applied, any material changes in use of the site that could impact on car parking will be subject to amendments to the permit. If some people say public transport not service our residents well, then this is exactly what we need, this type of development close to public transport hubs. For concerns regarding car parking around train stations, I want to highlight that it is the state government responsibility, and council is working hard with the state government to build more car parking spaces at the existing 500 public car park. Council is also working hard on alternative public transport, such as trackless trams. Residents can find more information on the Wyndham Urban Framework Plan, which is available on Council's community consultation platform, The Loop.
Councillor Ahn, you have 1 minute to go.
With a 30 minutes walking distance, this site would cover more than 10,000 residents. If we count bus routes, this number will increase even larger. Therefore, I'm pleased to support this application, and importantly, the 3,100 ongoing jobs it will generate in addition to a further 1,800 jobs resulting from economic flow on and 270 full-time equivalent roles per annum during the construction phase. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Arm. Are there any other speakers for the item? Councillor McAlani. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to support the exciting developments such as this for not only for the Harrison ward but the entire city, delivering thousands of local jobs, office space, childcare, a residential hotel, an education centre, medical centre and space for a library within the existing activity centre and within close proximity to public transport is exactly the type of development we should be encouraging. This fits with the Plan Melbourne framework as it will help create a 20-minute neighbourhood, enabling residents to walk, cycle or catch public transport rather than rely on longer trips and use of cars. Plan Melbourne also aims to reduce traffic congestion by promoting alternative, sustainable modes of transport, and I believe this development ticks all the boxes. The site is of strategic prominence for our city given its gateway location and proximity to core transport networks such as Williams Landing train station and the Princess Highway. The new open space offering incorporated into the design will take up 21% of the site in the form of the town centre, which will add a new dimension of urban amenity, livability and public realm mixed with our activity centres, which is a great outcome. There's been a great deal of consideration given to car parking at the site, and rightly so, as we know the issues that can be caused when it isn't adequately catered for. It's really important to note that when we're applying for car park provisions, we have to be realistic. Maximum car parking rates do not apply as a right. They exist to ensure the developments that may be in the middle of nowhere with no access to any public transport are adequately catered for. That is clearly not the case here. In my view, it would be inappropriate use of planning controls to attempt to impose maximum rates for a development within an activity centre that is walking distance to public transport options, including a train station. Importantly, the proposed level of car parking is consistent with recent
1 minute to go.
Recent VCAT decisions for significant office and mixed-use developments within the activity centre. I think it's fair to say that if Council took the approach of applying maximum car parking provisions, we would deter developments such as this, and they would simply not be viable, and our decisions would most likely be overturned at VCAT at great cost to ratepayers. As the responsible authority, it's our role to achieve the right balance in terms of what is reasonable according to the legislation and meeting the needs of the community, and I'm satisfied that this proposal hits the mark. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor McAlani. Are there any other speakers on the item? Councillor Hooper, speaking against the item. Okay.
I have to say, local jobs and services are needed for our community. However, we have to ensure planning outcomes support, not hinder, our whole city. The report states this site is well serviced by public transport and alternative transport modes, and so underpins car park reductions in the hundreds. But our advocacy strategy states our residents consistently tell us that road congestion and poor public transport are top priorities for the government to fix. And our new suburbs have too few bus services and train station car parks are full. The planning practice note from the department states, proximity to public transport is not in itself a sufficient reason for reducing a car parking requirement. An applicant must demonstrate that the availability of public transport will, not could, will decrease the car parking demand. And we know from many sources, public transport is a major issue for this region. The RACV states in the outer suburbs, transport networks have fallen behind and are not meeting the demands of our population. Inadequate public transport gaps in the road network and congestion are creating barriers to mobility. The Age reported last year, only 13% of people in Wyndham live 400 metres from a public transport service that runs every half hour. It showed we're in the bottom 5 of Melbourne's municipalities, and it's certainly miles away from reaching the state government's target of 95% of residences in each local area located within walking distance of public transport. At a special council meeting in June 2018, Wyndham City Council passed a resolution to acknowledge the concerns raised in a petition and that current parking arrangements do not meet the needs of rail commuters and, importantly, the wider users of the Williams Landing Town Centre. Again, an application must demonstrate the availability of transport will decrease car parking demand.
Minute remaining, Councillor Hooper.
Given the variety of evidence on public transport, including our own research, availability is insufficient. In a briefing about the traffic peer review, we were advised it was based on a guesstimate. Well informed, but still just a guess. A guess not supported by a range of sources such as the RACV and The Age. Now, for time's sake, I will cover something in regards to the TAFE. The application includes a TAFE of 5,700 metres square for 200 students. The permit restricts the total number of students to that, but the permit can be changed down the track. So let's consider how big that student body actually could be. In Point Cook, a new high school is being built, 2,600 square metres for 1,100 students, less than half the size of the TAFE College with 5 times the student body. Given the cost of the site construction or rent, there will certainly be economic factors that push the TAFE to seek an increase in student capacity down the track.
Councillor Hooper, your time has elapsed.
Okay.
So
remember, this is not the
last line.
Okay, last line. Remember, there is no TAFE Institute currently signed up to this plan, and this is the first time the applicant is attempting a project of this scale. I'd prefer our community not to be a guinea pig and for them to get it right.
That's about 4. Thank you very much, Councillor Hooper. Are there any other speakers for the item? Councillor Khan, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I think it's a pleasure to be supporting this application. It's really, really good. It's 3.1 hectare. That's a really big site, and it's next to freeway, next to train station. I think you can't get better than this site to be built. What I'm excited about it, when look at the 4 buildings and 5 buildings they're going to build, the proposed, it will change the landscape, Williams Landing and largely Wyndham City, because we really want to get close to city. As a previous councillor have said, that 20 minutes will make here because it's very close to freeway, even by car and by public transport. But also, though, there are many residents who want to spend the time with the nice surrounding modern buildings. This is what it offers now. We know that it used to be country, becoming city now, and this is just addition. And it also now, also in future, will attract more investors come to the Wyndham City Council, because it looks like now southeast. When we go southeast, look like a Cheston. Cheston is a great example. Now look at that now. If somebody says that car parking is, we should stop Cheston Shopping Centre, and then I would say, hang on a second, where are we going to build a nice, livable, and all the people who needs to go do shopping and spend a quality time with the modern facilities and with the family members. I think this is something we will look in future when this thing will become a reality, and what a great combination of proposed entire master plan is have an office, accommodation, hotel, childcare, medical center. It's got everything in it. So this will really add up to the site, which site you have seen now. Master was a really great site before, but unfortunately couldn't work it. I'll just only have a concern about this site. I'll make sure these people build this site. So have a confidence, get a finance, build the site, and it's important now. It will change the landscaping of the Wyndham. Yeah, I do agree that now with the fellow councillor Tony Hooper talking about that planning permit. I think it's absolutely right in his way, because once we grant this application, and when childcare centre will come, they have to apply with their own number of the kids they want to have in the childcare centre, number of students want to have it. So it could go up and down. It not necessarily will go up. But again, I think because of fear of reduction of car parking, we can't let it down this nice project. It's about 300 million plus. So that really generates lots of jobs. 30 seconds. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I would say that this is something Wyndham was waiting so long. Look, we couldn't get an education city. This is something, a small we're going to have enjoy this one and look like in future we'll have some more nice, attractive development like this one. I will be supporting it based on the economical outcome, based on the lifestyle it offers to the area, so I don't have to go all the way to city and go and stay in a hotel. That could be the one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Khan. Are there any other speakers for the item? Councillor Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you. And I do support the other councillors who have supported or spoken in favour of this application, as I will be this evening. And whilst I note some of Tony Hooper's concerns, I do think this is exactly the type of development that we have been discussing at this council over this council term as part of Wyndham 2040, as part of our city plan, and in terms of how we've wanted to activate around our train stations. Councillor Ahn spoke about that around our urban framework, and this is exactly the type of development where we just don't want to see car parks being built consistently around our municipality. We want to see great developments that activate our spaces, that become great, hopefully family-friendly spaces as well. But certainly I grew up in Wyndham, as many people around this table know, and I really never thought that we would see these types of developments in our city. $340 million to support our large growing community, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And I think ultimately that we just cannot keep building car parks, as I said before. And even if we did that, I don't think we would ever fully meet expectations. And I do think we have been talking about being less car dependency. I think it's actually really important. I think these types of developments actually help facilitate that. I am currently working in another municipality at the moment. I go past Moonee Ponds every day, and that's exactly what they're doing around the Moonee Ponds train station. They're having more high-rise development. They're having these more activity centres around train stations to actually facilitate their growing municipalities. And I think this is exactly the type of development we need. I also want to point out just quickly that this planning permit comes with a number of very stringent planning conditions, and I've read through them all, and actually ones that we could lose at VCAT if this was actually taken there. And I actually do think, and I do want to put this on the record, that they are planning conditions that I do expect this council to enforce. I think it's actually really important that we, as a council, when we put these planning conditions around the numbers of TAFEs, around the numbers of numbers in childcare, etc., that they are actually appropriately enforced over to ensure that that it's meeting community expectations, and our community actually expects us to do that. I also think, in closing, that a little bit of healthy competition in and around Williams Landing is probably not a bad thing for this municipality. So I'll be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Shaw. Are there any other speakers on the item? Being none, I will now give Councillor Ahn the right of reply as the member for a further 3 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. As my fellow councillors mentioned, that I also think this is probably one of the first of this kind mixed-use development of this at this scale, not only in Wyndham but probably in the entire Western Suburbs. And it's probably, and I think it will be good for uplifting the image of not only Wyndham but the entire Western Suburbs. And regarding Councillor Hooper's concern about this car parking requirement, there are legal cases, as I mentioned, there are legal cases back in 1998, similar cases in the Eastern Suburbs, who are backing similar applications back almost 20 years ago. And I do suggest Tony to go to, like Mia said, to go to Moonee Ponds or even Chatswood in Sydney to have a look. They are doing exactly what this application is proposing. And
I just want to say something here. I've worked in Moonee Ponds, all right?
And for those who heartily really concerned about road congestion and car parking issue around this area, I urge them to help to build the much needed Williams Landing School. With the local school, hundreds, if not thousands of families could walk, ride, or use public transport to get this school. thus reduce number of cars on the road and the number of car parks requirement around the train station.
Councillor Arndt, please
Thank
get
you.
on to the, thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Arndt. Okay, there being no more speakers, as that was the final right of reply, I will now move to a vote. All those in favour of the resolution, please place your hand in the air. Okay, all those against? Excellent. I'm also, okay, great. All right, thank you, Councillor Hooper. I was going to call on if you didn't. All right, so all those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillors Shaw, McElhinney, Villagonzalo, Maynard, Gilligan, Barlow, Arn and Khan. Arn and Khan. Are all in favour? And therefore, Councillor Hooper is against. Excellent. Okay, therefore the motion has passed. Item number 5, confidential business. Can I please? Thank you very much.
Mr Mayor, I move a motion that pursuant to section 89(2) of the Local Government Act 1989, standing orders be suspended and this meeting of council be closed to members of the public in order for council to discuss confidential business.
So do I have a mover for the item? Councillor Khan, seconder? Or technically you did, that's right. I'll take that as a second. Since I said it, I realised. Okay, all those in favour? Good. Okay, with that in mind, all those in favour? I'm getting the, oh, hang on. You're pointing at me. You're okay? Yes, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Excellent.
Well done.
Oh, I move that,
Councillor Shaw, you're leaving prematurely. I'd appreciate you stay for the duration of the meeting.
I'll say
that the recommendation that the closed meeting of council with regards to confidential business be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Shaw,
second
you're
that.
moving that. Okay, Councillor Shaw is moving it. She's that excited. Yes, Councillor Khan has seconded. All those in favour? Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry, that's true.
Anyway.
All right, we're in favour, very good. Okay with that?
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you. I declare the meeting closed at, what time are we, 7:40? 1.
7:41.
Do that all the time.